Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Quack Report. My name is Carter. I am joined by Nate, and we are going to talk some Ducks hockey for you here, just as soon as Nate is done chugging that water, getting
Out of my
hydrated.
Quack Report water bottle that you can find on our store right now, tqrshop.myspreadshop.com.
.ca if you're in Canada here. And if
there,
you're like, wait, what was that? You can just hop down to the description. Link is down there, no problem.
And there will, I'm 99% sure with what I was able to look at, there will be a Black Friday sale. So
maybe hold off the impulse buying for like what? When is Black Friday? A week? 2 weeks?
You know what?
2 weeks?
Let me double check actually really quickly when it looks like we're gonna have our sale. I think it's the 25th.
Okay.
Is what it is. So
yeah, just like a single day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or like the whole weekend.
It will just be a single day thing for our store at least. Unless I made it like a
unless you made it longer.
A legitimate us sale, but then the Black Friday sale that we're doing is it's like our suppliers Black Friday essentially. So you still support us in the same way that you would if you bought it full price basically. So if that makes people feel better, you still support us in the full capacity. It's our supplier that takes the hit.
Yeah.
So which I'm okay with.
Oh yeah, it's fine by me.
Yeah, let me just double check it really quickly here if I remember.
Got breaking news to start off the Quack Report here.
Yes, so November 25th, all day that day will be 35% off everything.
Damn.
So
it's pretty solid. Good chance to get the new Mighty collection.
Yeah.
If that's something that you're interested in, good chance to get gifts. Tell your friends and family, hey, go here and get me a nice Christmas gift that's on sale this day.
If I think, you know what, let me double check something really quickly because I've kind of wondered if I wanted to add this just for like around the Christmas season, or the holiday season, I guess I should say. Sorry. But here, let me double check this really quickly. Where'd it go here? Where'd it go? Oh yeah, by the way, we can do stockings. Nice. I'm not gonna put it up because like I don't think. Oh, there's also Santa hats. Where is it that I was specifically looking for? Oh yeah, so there's teddy bears and like stuffed dogs that we could do that have like a Quack Report shirt.
Oh, nice.
If that's something that people are interested in, tweet it at us at Quack Report Pod. Or message us on Instagram, whatever. If that's something that you would actually be interested in, and I will put that on the shop. So
that'd be sick.
And okay, actually, you know what? Just in general, not even for that. If there's something like that you're looking that you would want us to put out for like we'll say like the main collection at least, like the main stuff. If there's something that you're like, man, this would be really cool, and it is something that I would buy if it was available. Feel free to message us, and if it's something that we can do, we will absolutely do it. It's not an extra cost to us or anything like that to be able to do it. Like I'm taking a look here, like if you're a big cook and you listen to us while you're cooking, which is kind of cool. I like to listen to podcasts when I cook.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Like there's aprons on here that you could we could put our logo on. Or there's like if you want like a drawstring bag or something, like we can do that. Like there is a lot of stuff that's available from our suppliers actually, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I thought about throwing the duffel bag on there and like using that as like a travel bag if I go on trips or whatever. Yeah. So if there's something that you want in particular, with like our branding or just like a design that we have, feel free to message us and tell us what you would buy kind of thing. And that's something we can easily look into and get done up for you guys. So, because like, yes, the shop is a way for us to make a little bit of side cash as well. Right. And like, it's a direct way for you guys to be able to support us, but it's something that we want to do for you guys. Right. Which is why we try to do designs that are like kind of fun for the fans. A little bit
like
too,
something you
right?
would like actually wear and like just want to wear like on a like outside of an event,
Yeah, exactly. So and like just to have some fun with it. That's why I mean, besides the fact that like it helps me scratch my creative itch a little bit, that's why
Yeah.
we have as many designs as we do. And like even then, there's more that I still have like uploaded that I just haven't posted yet because I'm still trying to work through a couple things. Like I know people love I call them like I didn't know them as jerseys. So like the t-shirts that have like the name and numbers on the back, kind of thing, like that look like you're supposed to like mimic a jersey.
Yeah.
It's like I have stuff for that here that I'm just like kind of trying to tweak. So like if there's specific guys that you would want that you still want to support the show for, because we can't use actual names, so we're using like nicknames. So just to show people, or I guess for people to understand, like the example I have in here was supposed to be like a Getzlaff one. But obviously we can't use the name Getzlaff. So we just used Getsy, right? Just a nickname. So unless the nickname is like a trademarked nickname or something like that. But fortunately, outside of like Johnny Gaudreau for Johnny Hockey, most nicknames aren't trademarked.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so.
Like,
well, because it's just their name with like "er" at the end.
So unless it's like I think like
or an O,
I think
right?
like for Solani, like the Finnish Flash might be trademarked. So like we couldn't do something like that, which that would be fun though for the Mighty stuff if we could. So, but like like I have a bunch of like ideas in here. Like, if there's something that like a particular product that you would like our stuff on, I guess that you would want, or there's like an idea that you have that you think would be fun for us to put out. Totally open to comments and suggestions. So yeah, you can even message me directly because I'm the one who does the shop stuff mainly. So you can tweet me or message me at Tate Namas on Twitter and Instagram. I do check my Instagram messages. I need to check them more for the Quack Report specifically though. Or if you want to tweet, message us on Twitter or Instagram at Quack Report Pod. We're so open to that kind of stuff because like this stuff is for you guys to still. It's another way for you guys to enjoy what we do, and I've been getting some messages more lately that like of just people enjoying what we do, and it is really nice actually. So like it's the nice little ego boost for the day, I guess. Of like, yeah, you know what?
It's not even like really ego boost. It's just like feel good kind of thing. Like, oh wow, someone actually cares about.
Sorry, I'm going down the feel good path right now. Here we like I had a message from Gavin here. Shout out to Gavin, who was messaging me about jerseys. But he started off with like, just listen to your newest episode, best Ducks podcast without a doubt. Like that makes us feel really good actually. That like people are listening to it. That we're not just talking to nobody kind of thing. Like without you people that are watching and listening to us, there's not really a point in doing this, right? So this is everything that we do is for you guys. So yeah.
Well, that was the softest start to the episode that we've ever had, right?
There's your soft episode start. And you know what? I know you would rearrange this a little bit more. I'm going to go just a little bit softer even. And I'm talking like baby soft because baby, no more Uncle Henrique. It's Daddy Henrique, everybody.
Which
Adam,
congratulations to him.
Yes, huge, Adam huge and stuff, Lauren, congrats on their baby girl being born on Thursday morning. Blake Henrique. That's awesome. So
Blake Delphine Henrique, I think was the full name.
Congrats to those two on that. So
that was huge. Here, I guess we can play the music to get into it here. For the game.
I was kind of laughing because shout out to the Little Rivals pod. They had put out a tweet as well before the game asking just like, which Ducks scores the first goal tonight against the Blackhawks. And I'd put on like with my personal Twitter, like I'm going with Henrique. Dude's been scoring lately and he's got the daddy bump going. And he didn't score the first goal, but he did score in that game. And sure enough, that was also his 100th career goal. So again, congrats to Adam Henrique.
Yeah, that's huge. 100th career goal as a Duck. I believe.
Or as a
Right?
Duck.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, because he.
as a Duck? Let me double check that one actually. I think on the
Yeah.
broadcast, I think they just said 100th goal. So let
Oh,
me.
okay. I thought I heard as a Duck because that would be. I would be surprised if that was only his 100th goal because he had quite a career in New Jersey as well.
He did, but he's a lot more of a dish guy for sure, right?
I suppose. Yeah.
Um. Okay. Yes, it would have been 100th goal as a Duck. He has 222 on his career. So
Oh, okay.
that's my mistake. Then I must have
Oh
misheard
no, it's all
that.
good. But
So
yeah,
but,
still a milestone for sure. Also,
absolutely.
222 is like a. It's maybe not one that you keep the puck for, but it's still like a cool number because it's all twos. But
Yeah,
yeah.
447 career points in 782 games. Like it's always it seems like the 1,000 game mark is like hit. It feels like like once every month kind of thing, right? But
Mhm.
like that is such a hard thing for players to do. Like it may seem, yeah, again, that
Mhm.
like it may seem that we hit that, like there's somebody having 100th game celebration every month or something like that. But you think of the amount of guys that play just a game in the NHL, right?
Yeah.
Those guys that play 1,000 plus is such a small amount in the
Mhm.
NHL.
Also, it probably
It'd be,
seems
it
like a
would be
lot
really
too
cool
these
to
days
see if
because
Adam Henry do it.
we have like we're kind of hitting that point where everybody from that massive 2003 draft is now hitting their
Yeah,
1,000 games. So like there is just a lot more right now because of that draft. Like it'll
yeah,
probably taper off like a little bit. Like not to say that like because obviously every year there would be guys like from the 2004 draft, then there would be like those guys hitting 1,000. But like it's
yeah,
just there's that 2003 draft was just such an anomaly for like just guys that
yeah.
were like so elite and like actually
Or,
had the
or like
potential to hit this amount of
Yeah,
games.
like 1,000 points, I think is like what the 2003 guys are really starting to hit at this point, even. But
Now, yeah.
yeah. But even then, like 1,000 games shows your longevity, and I mean, like depending on how fast you can hit that 1,000 games too. Like what was the number that I saw? I think the other night. Here, you know what? I'm gonna actually double check it and pull it up here just to have like an
Mm.
exact number here for you because I looked at that and I'm like it makes sense in my head, but at the same time, how the hell is that possible? Just want to double check here. Where'd it go? Where am I looking? There we go. And right here. I'm sure everybody loved to listen to me just trying to find what I'm about to talk
Run
about
into
here.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like earlier this week. Connor McDavid hit his 500th game.
Hmm.
Like that guy's 25 years old.
Yeah. He's been in the
He is,
league for this is
yeah,
his seventh year.
yeah, he is like to put this in perspective. And this is how I bring my ego down every now and then as well. And not that I have a very, not that I don't think I have a very big
No.
ego to start with, but just to kind of humble myself a little bit. Connor McDavid is, I think, exactly 2 weeks older than I am.
Mm. 1 week
If I'm not
because you're the
mistaken.
21st, right?
Yeah, or okay, so or maybe he's like just over a week older than I am. Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
seeing here on NHL.com, he's January 13th, 97.
Oh, 13th. Yeah.
I'm January 21st of 97.
Okay.
And
I thought it was 14th, but
yeah,
I'm
and
ashamed.
Connor McDavid at this point has had a amazing career, even at like just over 500 games at 729 points. This sounds like I'm being a McDavid fan. I'm just laughing at it because it's more the comparison for me.
Hmm.
Like 700 like almost up at 730 points in 500 career games in the NHL. The guy's making 12.5 million per year in NHL salary alone. That is before taxes and whatnot. Plus whatever he's doing for sponsorships, the people he's got to do things with, the experiences that he's had in life. And again, I'm like a week later than him. I am sitting in a mountain of student debt talking about the Anaheim Ducks and Connor McDavid and whoever else in my basement suite.
Yeah.
It just to put things into perspective. It just puts things into perspective sometimes. So, but like, mind you, Connor McDavid is one of, like a small portion of the world that gets to not only play a sport professionally, right, but be in a like he's just being a player in the NHL. You are a member of the elite of the world, essentially,
Hmm.
right? So, like not everybody gets to be an NHL player, right? Even the guys that like it looks like they're going for the NHL don't always make it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So every now and then, if I just want to just to humble myself a little bit, I'll pull up something like that. So I'll also like to just pull up like when guys were drafted and that kind of thing, just to put things into perspective as well. So, like, yeah, even okay, if we want to stick on Connor McDavid's career in the NHL is as long as I've been in school.
Yeah.
Like in post-secondary. I'm like, man, Connor McDavid's had like a pretty good career already at like he's in like season 8. And I'm like, I'm in fucking year 8 of school. Yikes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's definitely a wake-up call when you're the same age as NHL players now. But
yeah, there was a good one I had, and then sorry, we'll get back to the game here. I'm going story mode today apparently. I took my girlfriend to her first professional lacrosse game. We went to the Roughnecks versus the Vancouver Warriors, I think it was. That game in particular, I wanted to go to as well because the Vancouver Warriors had Aaron Bold at the time, who was my favorite lacrosse goalie growing up. And I like to think at this point that like I've made friends actually with my favorite goaltender growing up. That's a pretty fucking cool thing, I think. Yeah, so anyway, I was like, okay, you know what? It's her first game. I want to get some cool seats kind of thing. And lacrosse games are pretty comparable, I think, to like AHL games, maybe just a little bit more even. So I got us tickets that were, I think, like 2 rows behind the players' bench. And this is in the Scotiabank Saddledome in Calgary. And so I think it was during the TV timeout that they had. The Calgary Roughnecks goaltender is Christian Del Bianco, who is fantastic. And this was, I think I was 21, she was 20. And Del Bianco is a 97 as well, I think. And so I was talking about like Del Bianco. I'm like, that guy right there, he's like already deemed one of the greatest like junior lacrosse goaltenders of all time and has won like national championships and like this and that and like one of the youngest starting goalies in the NLL. And I'm a couple months older than him, and I'm sitting here telling you about him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit of humbling experience. So
yeah,
but every now and then you kind of need that, I think.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
Again, even if you're not like a very egotistical person, just to kind of remind yourself where you are.
Just put some perspective on you.
But it's not a bad thing where you are as well. So again, these are professional athletes. Not everybody's going to be a professional athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, back to this 3-2 loss to the Blackhawks here.
Yeah. Do we want to stay on the goalie conversation, or where do you want to go with this? Actually,
yeah. Let's start there. Actually, before we kind of get into this, there's a lot of things that are going to seem really bad about this game, but it was actually a really good game, and I don't know what happened. Like I've no, like it's one of those games that, like, I'm sure if you pulled up the deserve to win-o-meter, Ducks should probably be at 90%, and it's just one of those ones that get away from you. We've been on the other end of that.
Actually.
Yeah, that'd be great. We've been on the other end of that for pretty much all our wins so far this season. Like, there was the one game, San Jose was like 90+% chance to win, and we stole it from them. And now the tables have turned, and that happened to us. So
yeah, this one, the deserve to win-o-meter has the Ducks at 60% in favor to win this game.
Interesting. I definitely would have pegged it to be a lot higher. But I guess I
can tell you why. I can tell you why.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because I do have it in the notes here, actually. The difference in this game was goaltending, which I said, like, that's why I was asking, like, do we want to stay on that track?
Yeah.
And it was also select forwards for the Blackhawks having good games. That's not to say that that Ducks forwards didn't have good games or anything like that either.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like the Terry Zegras Henrique line, which I loved how that line looked. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I have it in my notes here of, okay, I really like that. I also have, hey, look, Zegras to Terry, it fucking works.
Mm-hmm. So 19 seconds in.
Yeah, exactly. I have here, okay, I'm 100% down for Henrique, Zegras, Terry. I love how that line looks, right? And sure, maybe the rest of the lineup, because like the thing that we were kind of talking about, especially having Terry or Zegras down on that second line, right, was just kind of the balancing act of like trying to have something throughout the lineups.
Mhm.
With this lineup, you're not really gonna have balanced anyway. So like have a solid, like just put together the most solid lineup that you can, right? Because sometimes when
Mhm.
you're trying to do that balancing act, you make your team weaker, actually.
Yeah. And
And
I think too, like this Henrique Zegras Terry line, on paper, I'm like, okay, well, that's just the only line you need to shut down now if you're one of the other 31 NHL teams. But
then,
for how hard that line is to shut down, like
yeah,
you can't just staple like one guy to Henrique, one guy to Zegras, one line to Terry, because one of them is always going to be open no matter what.
yeah,
Probably two of them. Like you can't just say, "Hey, defend this line," because they're all over the place. They're fast, they're skilled, they'll draw penalties, they will capitalize on mistakes. Like it's yeah, I kind of take back what I said about like you need to balance this lineup because like when you have this line, this
yeah,
is like the equivalent of say like Marchand, not to direct comparison, but this is our version of Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak, like the perfection line, or like McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, like just that top line that like it
yeah,
doesn't matter what you do, they're gonna get their chances and they're gonna make your life hell.
yeah, exactly. And I was looking at the projected lineup, even like as much as this morning, like I have it up here,
Yeah.
like against the Blackhawks, just for this game in particular. This forward lineup on paper is the best for the Ducks in particular.
Mhm.
This is the best on paper look at the lineup for the forwards I think that we have seen all year, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I would
The
agree.
only like the only, let's go through it. Zegras, Terry, Henrique, we already talked about that.
Mhm.
A second line of Strome, Vetrano, and Regenda. That sounds pretty good to me, also, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously Ryan Strome is a veteran center who excels in the second line area, especially, right?
Mhm.
Frank Vetrano has been awesome as a forward, and the only reason he's not in the top line there is because you have Adam Henrique and Troy Terry, who have
Yeah.
been doing really good this season, right? Otherwise,
Mhm.
he's up there too. And Pavel Regenda has been showing when he's in the lineup that he can play really well and keep up with those second line guys, especially.
Yeah,
So,
and gets his
and then
chances.
yeah,
So
and then this third line you've really liked, especially this year, of Lundestrom centering Silverberg and Comtois.
mhm.
That's a lineup that can shut you down, but will get their offensive chances as well.
It's
That like
another
if you
fast line.
yeah, that like
So
if you're not paying attention, can capitalize.
mhm.
So my only issue, and it's not with the people on it, it's because this is where there's definitely a drop off, is that fourth line. And it's
Mhm.
not so much who's on it, but it's more in terms of who's on it. This is kind of your best that you could do right now, even.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot considering we just called up Glenn Godden. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's Glenn Godden centering Leeson and McTavish. My only gripe here is that if you're gonna have McTavish, I kind of warmed up to the, you know what? Yes, you have Zegras, Strome, Lundestrom. Like our center depth is, I'll say decent. It's not crazy deep, right? When you have those three guys, yeah, McTavish trying to get center ice time, probably going to be on the fourth line, unless
Mhm.
you make it like two third lines and you don't really work somebody as a fourth, right? Like the
Yeah.
third, like your quote unquote third and fourth line get even minutes,
Mhm.
right? That's kind of the only way you get around it. However, though, my only gripe here is McTavish on the wing on the fourth line,
Yeah.
because like how is he going to develop playing not his natural position in a fourth line role, playing like in this game like a second under 10 minutes a night, right?
Yeah. He's
Like
essentially playing
the most
AHL, like with
yeah,
AHL guys with AHL deployment,
he would be
but
better
against
to play in
NHL
the
competition.
NHL. He'd be better to play in the AHL if it was
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah. Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that like this guy made the team for a reason,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like if the option was there to send him back to Hamilton, right? I'm I'm sure that would almost be better for his development because is it NHL guys? No, but can he continue to develop and play against high competition?
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's not to discredit that fourth line guys don't play against high competition. Again, this is the NHL that we're talking about. As much as we shit on guys that are on the fourth line, like Derek Grant and whatnot, these are the guys that if we went out and played against them in like in pickup or beer leagues,
Oh, they
would look
ruin
like
us.
superstars compared to us, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um, but like if you're not gonna have him playing center on the fourth line, I think you need to move McTavish up if
Yeah,
he's
you
going
need
to
to do
be a
something.
winger,
Yeah.
right? I know the points haven't necessarily been there. The points haven't necessarily been there for a lot of guys, though. Like for this team as a whole, right? We know that.
Yeah.
So to put it on him necessarily, especially as an 18-year-old, I don't think that's really fair. So that's the only gripe I have with that forward line. And the guy that I would swap, and it's nothing against him, it would be Pavel Regenda though.
Yeah,
Because
it's mhm.
Regenda I think could still work in that fourth line role and still be a contributor in that sense.
Yeah.
McTavish, for the sake of his development in the NHL, I think needs to be playing those top 6 minutes. And I would say like the middle 6 minutes, but after talking with you a few episodes ago about it and like actually paying a bit more attention to that line, yes, you're not breaking up the Lundestrom Sulfurberg Comtois line unless
Mhm.
you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
had some better guys, sure, maybe then you make McTavish the third line center, Lundestrom Sulfurberg Comtois as your bottom line would work, but we're not in that position currently.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The
my
the
my
the one thing
only
I
thing
would
with
also
yeah, go
say
ahead.
would be like um well, I liked Comtois in the top six as well. I thought he played well
Yeah, he did.
with all of those guys. I'm um not really sure why he got taken out of that and put on the third line. Not that it's too much of a demotion, really. Like he's still playing with good guys, and I think it works well. But I think you could easily put McTavish in Comtois' spot, and that line will achieve the same thing. Like you've got a guy that's not afraid to get a little scrappy, but also can shoot pucks, can pass, like thread the needle.
Mhm.
So like Comtois and McTavish are very similar in that respect, and you know, compare them in 5 years, they're not going to be similar. But where McTavish is now and where Comtois is now, I think they're very similar in terms of skill level and play style. And then um, you could move Comtois up in the lineup too. Like you have other options with Mason McTavish. Um, it's not just Pavel Regenda's spot. But yeah, I do agree with you though. Like it's not. I don't know why he is playing the wing on the fourth line because he did well at in the middle six, top six on the
Yeah.
wing. And then, yeah, you want to get him to play his natural position. So you move him to center, give him some easier minutes. Sure, makes sense. But again, I don't see anything wrong with the way he played at center. He hasn't played there for 3 games. And just because I'm looking at his last 5 right now,
Mhm.
the last 2 games he played center, 62.5% in the faceoff dot against San Jose. The game before, 50% on 6 faceoffs in just under 10 minutes against Vancouver. But in those games, had 3 points. He had an assist against Vancouver,
Yeah.
and then a goal and an assist against San Jose. One of which the game tying goal, or his goal was the game tying goal. And he scored. Obviously, it doesn't affect the position he is playing in the game, but he scored in the shootout as well. So like.
Yeah.
I don't understand the decision like, oh, hey, you put up 3 points at center in your last 2 games. Now we're just going to move you to the wing for these 3 games. And then look at he's
Yeah.
got no points. I don't like I that doesn't make sense to me. I really don't
Like
understand.
is Glenn Godden a center that you called up? Yes. Mason McTavish already, by the time Godden got called up to the Ducks, McTavish already had more NHL game experience than Glenn Godden did.
Yeah.
And that's not a slight on Glenn Godden, but that just shows
No.
where it's just that comparison of that's where McTavish should be. Godden's that guy that you should be putting on the wing then in
Mhm.
that in that
Yeah.
in that spot. So
But I think it's the age
and you know
thing.
what?
Like
Yes, McTavish hasn't been scoring, right? Like he has one goal this season. That came against the last game against San Jose there,
Yeah.
right? So like that was a big lift off of his shoulders, considering the guy got what three goals I think in his first or two goals sorry in his like first 9 games last season, right? And in his
Yeah.
a tryout period, I guess, with the Ducks. So only having one goal partway through November at this point, sure. I'm
Hmm.
sure it doesn't like sit with him very well, even being a young guy, right?
Yeah.
But still though, even with like McTavish was even like was he not like scratched for a game, I think even if
Yeah,
I'm remembering that
it was our,
correctly.
I think it was our first back-to-back he was of this season.
Yeah.
He was scratched, but it hasn't happened since. It was just
And
that one.
I kind of even questioned like his actual time on ice when he got moved to that center position at the start, right? And then it did get a little bit better. Um, but like we've talked before about Dallas Eakins was great in the AHL as a development type coach, right? And that he wasn't an NHL coach who could really use the guys who were not done developing, but like had done the majority of their development.
Yeah.
But now that after what we saw with Trevor Zegras and after what we've been seeing with Mason McTavish, I think whether Eakins would have been on the bench or in practices or not, this is just the development that these two guys would have taken anyways
Hmm.
because of their talent and their own work ethics.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily anything Eakins is doing, which makes me just kind of wonder if, and this is like a total what if situation, right? Like for this season in particular, even it only would have been, I'm still under the belief that the reason that the added year option was put forward on Eakins' contract was just because Pat Verbeek has a type of coach or even a specific guy in mind that isn't available this year.
Hmm.
That's still my belief. Otherwise, I don't see how you would have been keeping Dallas Eakins around, even, especially being the new GM in there,
Yeah.
right? Like normally new GMs will come in and unless it like works off the bat kind of thing, they're normally trying to bring in their own guys, which we've seen with the roster already, even.
Yeah.
So that's still my belief. So it really only would be for this season, though. It just makes me wonder if there was the guy that Verbeek would have wanted, right? That is more of an NHL coach than Dallas Eakins,
Hmm.
right? Where could McTavish, if we're talking about him, or even a guy like Zegras or Drysdale before he got hurt, where could their games have? Where could their games be
Yeah.
under guys who actually do well at helping the young guys to succeed, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
the more I'm watching over the last season and a half, we'll say 2 seasons, it's I'm not so sure actually that Dallas Eakins was a great development coach rather than it was any other coaching staff that
Yeah.
should have been getting the credit for it
Hmm.
actually.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know. I think like I don't pay attention to the AHL a whole lot, obviously, but I think if you do this kind of sheltering of minutes in the AHL, it's generally fine. I think it would be because you like you want guys to be comfortable and like you want to grow their confidence. So if you keep them lower in the lineup in sheltered minutes, they just have like more I guess the good things that they do will like stick out more to them, and then like it just kind of builds their confidence
yeah,
that way. But
yeah, no,
whereas at the
you're not
NHL,
wrong.
yeah,
It's
whereas at the NHL level, do you want your young guys? This is going to sound really weird, but stick with me. You want your young guys to make mistakes. You want
yes,
them to turn over the
yes,
puck to Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, and then just get burned because you want that to stick with them so that they know I'm not going to do this again. You
yeah,
don't want to shelter their minutes and like, oh no, I turned the puck over to fucking, oh God, who did we just play? Chicago. I can't even think. who sucks on Chicago because it's everybody. But like, well, like here, sorry, let me just pull up their roster so I can make a coherent argument. Oh no, you turn the puck over to Colin Blackwell or Jujhar Khaira or Reese Johnson on the fourth line in Chicago. And
I thought you liked Khaira. Sorry.
No, I do. I'm just saying. Okay. No, I do. I'm just saying, like, in comparison to turning the puck over to Connor McDavid.
Oh,
like,
okay, fair enough.
Like, what's Jujhar Khaira going to do? Dump the puck in and then hit you along the end boards? Yeah. Like, that's just going to happen. There's very little consequence. But, like, you turn it over to, even if we stick here in Chicago, Patrick Kane, odds are he's getting a scoring chance, probably scoring if it's that egregious of a turnover. So you want the guys to make those mistakes, but he's not getting that experience on the fourth line.
And you know what though, even then, like, it's like that idea that you're talking about of like sitting there with the mistake a little bit. There's one time that it seemed to work, but it also kind of depends on the player too sometimes, right? Like not everything works for every single guy.
Yeah.
And you can say that for like so many different examples throughout the league, right? Like look over in Montreal. I forget what the name of their last head coach before St. Louis. What was his name?
Oh god, I don't remember.
Dominic Ducharme, that's who it was.
Yes.
But like him with like Cole Caulfield, I think it was, right? Like that, like those two together, it wasn't really working. Right? Like Ducharme's way of handling Caulfield did not work for his development. As soon as Martin St. Louis came in, who, yes, Caulfield idolized growing up and whatnot, right? But just that type of coaching style working with Caulfield in particular, right? Just blew the doors wide open. Like within the first week, everybody looked at Cole Caulfield and what he did just in that week alone. Under Martin St. Louis for the first week and went, this is what this kid should have been capable of if Ducharme was working with him correctly.
Yeah, dude would have won the Calder if he had the right coach all season. Yeah, because he's carried it in from the end of last season into this season as well. And we saw what he did in the playoffs, I guess 2 seasons ago as well, like when he made his NHL debut. Like he should have won the Calder. Like, forget what Zegras did last year, Raymond, Seider, all those guys. Caulfield would have blown them out of the water.
Yeah, and one guy in again, if the people know that I'm a Calgary fan before this whole Ducks thing. One guy for Calgary that I still think he's showing more of his potential right now, but being under almost just like an entirely different regime, basically, is Sam Bennett, right? I don't think anybody worked outside of Bob Hartley when he was around and got fired a year after winning the Jack Adams. Like Bob Hartley was working with Sam Bennett and you could see improvement in his game. After that, though, with Bill Peters and even we had Jeff Ward here in Anaheim too. But as a head coach, God, don't even get me started on Jeff Ward again. But like those guys in particular, even like just didn't really work with Bennett and just kept him in third, fourth line minutes, right? That just, nothing was really working. So like Bennett was trying to, he was almost overcompensating, trying to prove himself that it cost him in different areas, whether it would be penalties or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
You send him over to Florida and they say, okay, like we're going to give you the opportunities that realistically like, we see that you've been striving for and that we know you're capable of, right? Like for Sam Bennett in particular, he's a 4th overall pick, right? Like there's a reason that Calgary, when they did, picked him 4th overall, and that he is a good player.
So very similar to McTavish too, because McTavish was a 3rd.
Was a 3rd, yeah. So Florida right away, Bennett, given the tools that he should have had in Calgary, that he had a little bit with Bob Hartley there, is starting to do great. And this season is continuing, right? We even got to see it a few nights ago there when Anaheim played Florida, right? Bennett scored a goal on us and like just he looked good out there, right? So it just makes me like Trevor Zegras' coach last year was Ryan Getzlaf.
Oh,
let's not
100%.
kid ourselves here,
Yeah.
right? It was Ryan Getzlaf, but now Getzlaf's gone. But when I'm talking about how it works for particular players, this was kind of the long way of getting there.
Okay.
Dallas Eakins a few games ago had sat Trevor Zegras for a while, and Zegras did get to think about what he did and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
And went out, basically corrected what he was doing, and I think later in that game, like, got a goal, right? And yes, people got on Eakins for, including myself, for benching Zegras, right? But to hear that from Zegras after the fact, okay, that way works for Zegras in particular. But with what's going with McTavish, it might not necessarily be working.
Yeah.
Right? Like, everybody, it's that whole argument that's boiling down for, like, just like primary school, right? Like elementary through to high school, right? Of like, not everybody thrives in the same environment with the same teaching styles, right? Like even between you and I'm sure we both like learn differently. Like everyone
Oh, yeah.
there's the ideas, right, of like learning by doing, learning by listening, and learning by reading, I think are the three
Those are
main
kind of
ones,
the main ones.
right?
There might be a
Yeah.
fourth, but yeah, those are, yeah.
But for myself, I'm a listen then do, right? And that works really well for me. I could read off a bunch of stuff, but if I don't have the other two kind of following up with it, or I guess I'm normally like a read or listen with a do. I have to be able to do it in order to understand it.
Yeah.
Right. So just for example, I'm in a statistics class right now that, like, in class, we're like, how we learn is like doing the examples, and he's talking about it. Right. So for myself, that works fantastic. Right. Because I'm able to actually do it. And then we get an assignment not long after that. I'm able to like do it and reinforce that it works. Right. And I'm sure like you're a little bit different. Like, what would you say it is for you?
For me, like, I need to do things as well. I think maybe that's more of like something that is more common, but like if somebody explains to me how to do something, I'm useless with it. Like if you told me how to like solve a certain math problem, there's no way I'd be able to do it. I need to watch somebody do it, and then you can give me another one, and then I'll be able to do that. And then also like, and then afterwards, need to like explain it to somebody else, and then that like gets it in there. So either watching someone do it and then explaining it back, or like doing it in some way. That's kind of how I work. So so very different, but
I'm going very much down just like the psychology route. And like,
Yeah.
if you're hanging on with us, like, thank you, because I am trying to get to a point here. So that way, here the point is this: that way may work, of like setting a guy like Zegras might work for Zegras, right? But for, say, that first game that you're trying Mason McTavish at his natural position, right? The first time he's playing center in the NHL, and you play him for 5 shifts in the first period, and then you essentially sit him for the rest of the game. He only has 2 shifts in the second, 2 shifts in the third, for 6.5 minutes of ice time, right? That might not necessarily work for Mason McTavish.
Yeah.
So, like, even just looking at these two guys alone makes me question just Dallas Eakins as a development guy overall, right? And again, this is the NHL, where like you're just at this point you're just supposed to be like fine tuning a few things, right? Like there's not too many examples of I guess like massive changes to guys' games, or massive like not improvements, I guess, but like learning curves, I guess, to guys' games that like
at the NHL level,
at the NHL regular level, that you're like that are like that are making headlines, I guess, that are like that fans are talking quite a bit about, right? Like, yeah, there's the improvement of guys throughout years and whatnot, right? Like
and things
we've talked
change,
about it.
like, right.
Yeah, we've talked about it with guys like Zegras, like Terry and
Mhm.
Drysdale, even guys like Cam Fowler and whatnot. Like that's stuff that we've talked about. And like in Cam Fowler's even like a veteran guy, right? Or even Kevin Shattenkirk of like, he's not the offensive driver, so he's trying more of the defensive end, but like as a defenseman, right? But it's not like those big things of, like Brent Burns learning to play defense after playing a good chunk of NHL career already as a right winger, which was his natural position, right?
Yeah.
Or like the wing to center, like to your natural center it can be easy for guys. It can also be a massive struggle though.
Yeah.
For sure. So it's always just a little bit different for everybody, and you just have to find that right thing. Should Mason McTavish be in the NHL right now on this Anaheim Ducks team? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not even a question
If
at this
this
point.
is
Yeah.
if we're going to be playing him fourth line on the wing though, why do we have him here?
What is that doing for him? Yeah.
I know that was a very long conversation
but it was good to like make that point though. Yeah.
Just to like, that's just kind of like that's been my gripe with the McTavish and Eakins thing this entire season, that like I don't think it's like necessarily gotten out as well as it probably should, right? Like through some of the conversations that we've had and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like on this show, right? Like it finally just all kind of like came together. So I apologize for that being like as long as it was. We're running at like 47 minutes now, but like that it kind of culminated basically into a projected lineup and what happened in this game in particular. So the rest of the lineup for once actually like on paper looked good for forwards, right?
It's the best with what we have
yeah.
right now. Yeah. What
But
Pat
that was
has given us.
that was the question that I had right away. And sure enough, I go into the comments and right away it's, why is Mason playing on the wing? If McT is going to play on the wing, at least put him in the top 6 and give him a chance to succeed. Yeah, our award's great, yes, but it's not. You're trying to help your team win, right? Yeah. The awards kind of come secondary, but once again, Eakins is trying to sabotage a rookie's chance at the Calder as a comment that's in here, right? McTavish at the foot, like literally for the projected lineup on Twitter, almost everything is about McTavish being that fourth line winger there. And why is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is McTavish at the fourth line wing is not utilizing his talents in every aspect. Another one here, dude, fire Eakins. Men's plays Mason McTavish on the wing on the fourth line. Like this isn't, yeah, there you go. This tweet wraps up everything. This isn't player development. It's the opposite. This is how you squander someone's development. If you know what, after this conversation, like I do want to look into again what the rules are for the AHL, because if McTavish,
it'd be nice to have him.
If McTavish over the next few games is going to be on the wing on the fourth line, I want him to be playing top line center minutes in San Diego instead. Right? For not that I don't want Mason McTavish in a Ducks jersey. He is on the team that he should be. Right? But he is not being given the tools necessary to be the player that he can be. Right? Like it might be even just like a year of development behind can be a massive thing for a player, right? Take a look at a lot of young guys and how the pandemic and even like a couple injuries kind of mixed in there can drastically hurt a player's development, right? I'm going to go back to one more Calgary example that goes to Arizona this year. And that's a defenseman in Juuso Välimäki, who was a very promising defensive prospect and eventually earned a top 6 role in Calgary in 2019, I think it was. played a prominent role in the first round of the playoffs where Calgary would lose in 5 games to the Colorado Avalanche, right? Who just got hot at the right time and like kind of gave us the first taste of what we were going to see out of the Avalanche coming to their Stanley Cup this last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pandemic hit, so you're not being able to get the same coaching and development in that way. He had some injuries as well, which resulted in his development not being where it probably should be. So some other guys were able to overtake him, especially when you're bringing in guys like Chris Tanev and whatnot. Yeah, sure, it makes sense.
Yeah.
In the end, though, this season, it resulted in him getting sent down to the AHL, getting picked up by Arizona. And is Arizona a great team this season? No, they're doing a hell of a lot better than the Ducks, though.
They're in
doing
the
a lot
playoffs.
better than they're currently in a playoff spot, right? And Yusuf Alamaki is I believe, the top pairing defenseman for the Arizona Coyotes, right? It's utilization is the big thing. And that's a big thing that we've been talking about for Dallas Eakins as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And the utilization of the forward lines for this game, as projected at least, was good, except for where Mason McTavish is in that lineup.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you 100%. You basically just spoke for both of us and for that. So
I'm sorry, that was a lot there, but I'm like, okay, I finally have everything I like just to fully put out, I think, what I've been trying to say this entire season so far.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a couple other points about this game that we would like to make, and they're actually all very positive because, like we said, this was a very positive game, even though the result wasn't what we wanted. But before we get to that, we are going to throw things over to our friends at DraftKings. Be sure to use promo code THPN at sign up, and you can get some exclusive offers there. And we will be back in just a minute to wrap up this game.
NFL Sundays are only getting better, and so are the incredible offers at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, player props, and point totals. With bigger payouts than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is my go-to when betting on the NFL. So, what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use the promo code THPN, and place a $5 pre-game moneyline bet to get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Again, that's promo code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
So we've talked a lot about shots, both for and against with the Ducks. Basically all season long.
Oh, I thought you meant like wanting to take alcoholic shots because of this team.
Oh,
okay.
Well, I mean, there is that, but this looked very promising for the first period. I think the shots were like 10-0 at some point for in favor of the Ducks.
I have the breakdown here if you want it.
I just have the first period, which is 11-5, and then after that it was pretty standard.
19-5 was the first period.
Oh
shots.
Shit! Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I typed that wrong. Yes.
And then 13-11 for the second, and then 9-6 for the third.
Yeah. So this is exactly what we want. Like, and we, this was the period that we wanted to put together, but unfortunately for Stolarz, I feel like it was hard for him to get into the game because of that, because he only faced 5 shots in the first. He didn't face anything for like close to half a period. And then, yeah, he had 2 goals against on 6 shots there when Chicago scored on their first shot of the second period. It was so like it's hard to blame him for that because like it's like 2 goals on 6 shots looks awful, but like when that 6th shot is over an hour after the game starts, that's tough to do.
It's okay. I had this wording here for a second. it was an uncharacteristically slow night for Anthony Stolarz, and you know what? Even to include, even though he's on the bench, John Gibson,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, that is the lowest amount of shots, especially like by like quite a few, even that the
Oh
Ducks
yeah.
have allowed all season long,
Yeah. 100%.
right? Like, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna bring it up a couple times. I think with just what we're going to be talking about here.
Mhm.
Um, there's a great article put out by Eric Stevens on The Athletic that came out today, actually, or like on Sunday on the 13th here. If you're subscribed, go take a read at it. It's called "These Anaheim Ducks Might Be the Worst on Defense in Franchise History." If that headline doesn't
Oh boy.
grab you to want you to read this thing,
Hmm.
I said this is one of my favorite articles I think I have ever read because one, it shows that I'm not completely off my rocker with what I've been talking about over the last while.
Yeah.
But two, this goes into the depth that I like to read specifically
Hmm.
of like what is not working and like what some of like the numbers are and that sort of thing. Um yeah, the Ducks, so this is a number that I like that's very early on. The Ducks as of uh I guess this would have probably been written before. Oh no, sorry, actually this does include the Chicago game. Um the Ducks are giving up an average of 39.1 shots per game.
Oof.
So this is very low compared to the
Yeah.
average, right?
The
So
there was actually this is tied for the lowest shots we've allowed this season. Vegas on the 28th also only took 22 shots and they're 4-0 schlacking of us. But then the next closest is 30 against Tampa
yeah,
Bay and then
like
36 after that and then it skyrockets all the way up to 52. So like it's rare this season for sure.
yeah. And then, you know, even just to add a little bit here, even after only 15 contests, they appear to be a franchise worst as the next worst Ducks season mark is 33.4 shots per game average
Wow.
in 2009, 2010.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, Steven says, though they managed to bring that average under 40 by limiting Chicago to just 22 shots in the game on Saturday, it'll take many more efforts like that to get their current average anywhere near that mark from 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, yeah, he goes on to talk about even like the goals against as a team kind of thing is just, it's a crazy number. I'll just say that. So, but yeah, an uncharacteristically slow game for Anthony Stolarz. Mind you, there's a lot of action in there, but like if you're not having the puck get to you, I
Yeah.
guess, right? Like the I don't know, like this, like watching a game like this kind of makes me go back to that thinking of like, okay, the even some of the guys that we have here, right? Like, did the Chicago Blackhawks strip back a shit ton? Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. But this is the kind of game that I'm like, okay, those guys are like kind of just what are the standings right now? Actually, I don't have them pulled up.
I don't
This is
either, but
as of Sunday at like 2 Pacific. Here,
yeah.
I'll pull up the
You want to know
standings.
where
Like,
Chicago is?
yeah.
They are third in the wild card,
Okay.
tied in points and games played with Minnesota, who holds that second spot. It's just the goal differential of -5 compared to
Okay.
Minnesota's -2 that is keeping them out of that.
So in a very weird year just for the Western Conference, I would say as a whole,
Hmm.
um, Chicago is a team that even with all the stripping that they did, this is a team that like this is where Anaheim I feel like could be should be
Yeah,
about even with, right? Like
yeah,
for records and whatnot, and
yeah, for
which
sure.
makes it even tougher when you look at our record and go, okay, yeah, you can definitely see that it's not as it is an issue with the players, but it's also an issue with what the players are having to do. Um, this game felt like a very even game, and this wasn't Chicago on a back to back or anything like that, right? Like these are
Hmm.
both teams that got some like decent rest before playing each other. Um, and like both teams played very similar games actually, and like their numbers show very similar games.
Yeah.
For both teams, it was two forward lines that drove everything. For Anaheim, Henrique Zegras Terry was a massive driver. The line that got the second goal, I guess, for Anaheim only had 4 seconds of ice time, and that was Strome Terry Henrique.
Yeah, so just something on a change.
Yeah, exactly.
There, yeah.
But besides that, like the Zegras Henrique Terry line, which again, like to go back to earlier, I love how this line looked. Yeah, their on ice expected goals was just south of 1, and they got the on ice goal for. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 goals against when they were on the ice, though. 2 of the 3 goals.
Yeah.
Then when you compare it to Chicago, they also had a line that was doing really, really good. And that was the Kurashev, Domi, and Kane line, right?
Yeah. They
had, I think, an extra minute of ice time total, about there as a lineup. An expected on ice goals for of 1.2, and that line scored all 3 goals.
Oh yeah.
Or that line was on ice for all 3 goals.
Mm-hmm.
That line was also on ice. That line was literally on ice for every single goal in this game. They were on for all 3, and they were for Chicago, and they were on for all 2, or for both of the Anaheim goals.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2 lines played very even, right, with each other. Mm-hmm. These 2 teams played very even with each other because both are, let's be honest, very depleted defensive lineups, which is another note that I do have in here. Like, because I said, like, the projected lineup on paper is one of the best I've seen this year. I'm not going to talk about the defense in terms of players necessarily, except for one guy I want to get into in a little bit. I'm not blaming this on the defense guys in particular, though, because
no.
Holy
you
crap.
Look at who that is. Like, that's not the defense that you would expect going into this season, right? Like, we are hurting.
Yeah, very much so, which does kind of lead me, I guess, a little bit to, I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping everywhere. So this is you trying to steer me back a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But Verbeek did say in that same article as well that I was talking about earlier, that he wasn't really looking to, like, he wasn't seeking out blue line help necessarily. And there was some consideration, though, of claiming Mike Riley from Boston the other night, which you and I talked about. And we were like, okay, you either have to, like, you might be calling up somebody, but like, this might be your best bet just for help overall, right? Like, you're not looking for somebody who's going to, turn around the season or anything like that.
Yeah. But
right. Just somebody like this, just the lineup. It's nothing against the guys. Right. But this is like we looked at the defensive lineup at the start of the year, and we're like, you know what? Like, on paper, this looks decent, right? Like, this looks like it could work with like this could play against some of the best and do all right, at least. Right.
Yeah.
And then it was okay. We saw that lineup for a little bit, and it's clear that it's not entirely on the players. It's more with the systems. I digress. But yeah, so they did pass on Mike Riley, though, unfortunately. And there was another guy as well, but I don't remember who it was. But there was 2.
Nikita Zaitsev was the other one from Ottawa.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are 2 guys that would have been very serviceable to the Ducks right now. And you could have easily put in claims for both of them and been A-okay. And I'm wondering if it was the money even for Mike Riley that was the reason they stayed back. But I'm also going, okay, you have a shit ton of cap space. He's on year 2. Like, Riley's on year 2 of a 3-year contract. Next year, he makes $4 million. Is that really going to be the worst contract that you have on the books, though? Is that really going to be that big of an impact right now, at least. Like,
Yeah.
even just for a moment, you could try to make a trade for, like a 5th-round pick, even sixth
Hmm.
round pick, right? Depending on, like you might be able to pull in a guy like Riley. He plays some top 4 minutes and someone goes, you know what, that guy would be pretty useful for us, and like be able to pay something for it for a guy that earlier in the season was put on waivers. We've seen it happen before,
Hmm.
right? So I'm just like, okay, is like, what's the reason that they passed up on him? Is it, if it's money, like, come on, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say when we don't know what's going on with most of the defensemen that are injured. Like, we
Yeah.
don't know when Vakanainen's coming back. We don't know what even happened to Shattenkirk and Beaulieu. Like,
And
it's
we
possible these
don't
guys
know
are
if they're
coming
going to
back next
be.
game, right? So if they
Yeah.
do, like, okay, then it makes sense. Why would you pick up Mike Riley to
Yeah.
have him for a single game, right? But like, if any of these guys are out long term, then something needs to be done. So I would, and I mean, Pat Verbeek, we know he's not an idiot. So like, my
Yeah.
guess is that these guys aren't out long term, 2 weeks at most, maybe, because like neither
Yeah.
of them have hit IR. So I mean, that
This is
probably hints that it's not even a week, right?
Yeah,
So
this is just where it gets really frustrating, I think, even from a fan's perspective of like, okay, like, why aren't we doing this stuff? And this is where I do wish the Ducks were a little bit more transparent, right?
yeah, of course.
Of like I understand you're not going to have everything, every question medically, you're not going to have it right away for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But even just saying like, hey, this is what happened, and over the next couple of days, we're just going to double check for something like this, right?
Yeah, like it's saying this guy is day to day. We expect him to be out
Yeah.
for a few games, and we'll reevaluate kind of as needed, sort of thing.
Think of a business for a second, and how you have, like your board of directors and like your shareholders and that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like people within the company, they have to make presentations to the board of directors and the shareholders, right? To keep them in the loop with what is going on in a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Apply that to this Anaheim Ducks franchise, right? Your fans are your shareholders. They're the people that have invested their time and money into you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I get that you don't want everything out there. I totally get that. There's some things that you want to keep quiet. That's totally fine.
Yeah, you don't need to tell about like the issue between Deborah from fucking HR and Dave from accounting and how they don't get along. Like, nobody needs to know that.
But there is some there can be some leniency, I think, that would help Ducks fans just have a bit more faith in what is maybe going on overall, rather than just trust us.
Yeah. No,
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, because
I agree.
with what has been shown with the just trust me attitude kind of thing, fans are starting to get really frustrated at this point, even though it's a rebuild and whatnot, right? Just to like the fans that are checking Twitter and that kind of thing for updates, like, these are your hardcore fans, these are your investors, right? These are your stockholders. So like, just give them a little bit of an update as to what's going on. So, which in turn also leads to less speculation on what might be going on, or that sort of thing. So like, even just like the Drysdale injury, that is it feels like one of the fastest and most informative thing that we've gotten out of the Ducks for a while, actually.
Potentially ever. Yeah.
So like, and it's not even like just for Verbeek, like that's during like Murray's time. Even that
sure,
feels like one of the most like informative things that we have ever gotten. So,
no, exactly.
And it wasn't even like a whole lot, right? But it was what fans wanted to know and what was important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And even Shattenkirk and Beaulieu at this point are important to this team, right? So, or Vakanainen, right? Who's a guy that like fans liked watching. We haven't heard anything since September. That doesn't rub people the wrong way. I'm sure it does. It rubs me a little bit wrong. Like, even just an update on just how he's doing, right?
Yeah.
So, because a lot of these NHL guys, some of them are active on social media and whatnot, and like kind of they might even give their own updates or that kind of thing, right? Or even a guy like Evander Kane, right? Who's goes and does a press conference after a very scary situation, right?
Well, he even tweeted out like the
Yeah.
next day. He was like, "I'm fine, everybody. Thank
Yeah,
you for
exactly.
like to the doctors. Thanks for everyone's support." Like he
So-
literally tweeted that out himself. He just like so. And I mean,
But not-
obviously, not everyone's like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone's like that. So then it's up to the team to kind of provide some of that ease almost, right?
Yeah.
Of what's maybe going on. So, and like even some of the teams that like were very tight-lipped have gotten better with it. And it is sometimes, you know, like who's around and that kind of thing, especially now with Pad for Beak. Yeah, you know what? It's going to be very tight-lipped because that's also how Steve Yzerman was. The Toronto Maple Leafs, especially, seems like a massive turnaround ever since Lou Lamoriello left, right?
Yeah.
And sure, Kyle Dubas was trained by Lou Lamoriello, but he's also like, okay, we're also going to take this into the 21st century a little bit here and not be like the Islanders, who everyone thinks that Kadri's going there. And then at the last second, actually, no, he's going to Calgary. So, but like just nothing out of the island forever. Like people are finding out like who the Islanders signed when they show up to training camp. Like,
yeah.
So that's a bit of an extreme case for sure, but it would be nice just to have a little bit of information for Shattenkirk and Bolio, just a little bit of what's going on if we can, right? Like again, I know not everything is going to be available right this second, right? Which is something that the world has kind of gotten used to, I guess, with social media in a way, and just like how everything is instantaneous almost, right? I don't think Ducks fans are asking for that. They're just asking for just a little bit of something, just some communication to them, to kind of be kept in the loop a little bit. So
yeah, exactly.
Just looking at I am trying to double check as well. I'm trying to find if there's anything on Shattenkirk and Bolio right now. So
yeah, I looked this morning. There's nothing. So
yeah, I'll trust you on that one.
Just looking at the time here. I think that's,
sorry about that.
That's what. Yeah, and I mean, we touched on everything about this game, I think, anyways. So we can move on to a couple little pieces of news here.
Can I just say one more thing as well?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Sorry. Okay, so I did go down the thing of the difference in this game. The Hawks forwards, like specifically that one line having a really good game. Goaltending was a bit of a difference maker here as well.
Oh, for sure.
And I think this is kind of where we were starting to go, and we started talking about other things. Stolarz was fine. It wasn't his best game of the year, but yes, he did have a uncharacteristically slow night.
Yeah,
this
is an outlier in my mind.
To a little bit to that. Yeah, it's off the top of my head. This is the first game, and I'll even go back and double check this to be sure. Off the top of my head, though, I think this is the first game I've seen that he's been in that he's had like, we'll say above like a negative 0.2 goal save above expected, right? Like, where it's okay, like he's not around average, like he's not like just kind of like where like he did his job kind of thing. Like this is where it's a little but this is where I'm also kind of looking at it of I think the goal save and save percentage might be a little bit worse even as it is because of Dmitry Kulikov in this game. This is the last thing I have for this game, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Kulikov, not great in this game, I don't think. And I put that last goal that made it 3-2 for Chicago. Honestly, I put it solely on him, even because it was him skating up with the puck who had the pass that he's going from the side up the middle to the attacking zone. There really wasn't anything. Easily gets picked off. Chicago takes it back in, gets picked up again, and Kulikov is just chasing the entire. Like as soon as the puck is off of his stick for that pass, Kulikov is chasing, and it results in him chasing a guy in front of the net, and the result is the puck happens to get shot at that point, and because he's chasing rather than being with his guy, puck goes off of him and goes in the net. So just Kulikov's game overall was not a great one, and even taking a look at hockey stat cards right now, they even have him listed as like he had a poor game at like a negative 0.72. And even for him, like his season average for like their system is negative 0.05.
Yeah.
So like,
So
yeah, this was really not a great game. Or sorry, Kulik. I was looking at somebody else. My bad. Okay. Sorry, Kulikov had a negative 0.54 in this game. His season average is a negative 0.78. Oh, yikes.
oh geez.
But like this game in particular, I think because he is at this point with how the lineup was looking, he's a top 2 guy realistically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe why it showed a little bit more. But yeah, Kulikov was not great in this game. I hate to do it because it's a team game and whatnot. And I feel uneasy when I say this, but that game ended the way it did because of Dmitry Kulikov, unfortunately. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, he didn't like stand out a whole lot to me as like having a bad game, but like also it wasn't like a great game from him either. So
yeah.
So yeah, like it's definitely possible to blame him for it. So yeah. Okay, moving on to news here.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously we kind of already know all this stuff because if you watch the game, you know what happened. But we called up Austin Strand from the San Diego Gulls to fill in for our defense, which very much needed it. And I thought he was fine. I thought he looked really good in that game. He was noticeable in good ways but generally unnoticeable, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
like the times that you noticed him was when he did something decent, I guess.
He just came in and did his job.
Yeah, clocked 11:37 for the game. Yeah, he had a shot on goal, even 14 shifts. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that really stands out there, but yeah, guy did all right, fine. I think. So yeah.
1 goal, 4 assists, and a +1 in 11 games so far with San Diego. So yeah, kind of deserving of the call up there. We talked about Brouillard last time, but obviously he's just an AHL contract, so couldn't call him up. But Strand is one of those guys that he's not like integral to the Gulls roster. Still obviously an important piece, but like you take him out and move him up, like it's not gonna, like you take Brouillard out of the Gulls and you're missing a lot of points there. A big guy. But Strand is one of those guys that like you can move, and he's good in both leagues. As well, in a corresponding move, Derek Grant was placed on IR, retroactive to November 3rd. So I don't even know what happened there. Do you know what?
I don't remember. The deal is? I don't remember what happened. November 3rd. What game would that have been?
That was against Vancouver.
Okay, so that was the 8-5 8-5 game.
Yeah, and then I guess he's been scratched ever since. I just kind of assumed it was healthy scratching, but
that I hate to shit on guys like repeatedly, but I was kind of okay with that.
I mean, the guys that replaced him looked good, so
the PK kind of looked better without him on it.
Interestingly enough, yeah. But yeah, so I don't know what's going on with Derek Grant, but that's just another hit to our group. But I mean, we thankfully don't have too many injuries in our forward core, so we do have the guys that can fill in, like Godden, Leeson, Regenda. I mean, Regenda's not playing that bottom pairing role, but a similar role to Derek Grant, I guess. So
okay, so it does make sense actually, just because of Grant being out. I'm not sure if they're putting him on IR retroactively because it gives
you more cap. I mean, not that we need the cap space, but like just that's when he should have been placed on it.
No, I think his long-term injury is when you get cap space. I got to double check that, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it seems like yeah, they just kept like kind of healthy scratching him, and that makes sense for why they were running 11 forwards and 7 defensemen there
Mhm.
for a stretch there, is because Grant was out. Not sure
Yeah.
kind of what they can do. So, but
Yeah. Yeah.
again, that's
Exactly.
where you have a shit ton of cap space. Utilize it a little bit, please.
Yeah.
So,
Another thing I wanted to talk about here, we'll just kind of quickly fly by it because we spent a lot
yeah.
of time talking about it on the last episode. But on Tuesday this week, there is going to be a GM meeting with all the 32 NHL GMs, and there is actually going to be talk about the coaches challenge because apparently a lot of GMs were upset that this the Michigan goal got turned over against Minnesota that Zegras scored. And I mean, there's obviously other examples like it, but there's GMs that are specifically upset that that one got turned over because that's the goals that they want to see in the NHL. And now a stupid like pixel measuring contest is turning this over. So
there was a. Can you send me the article for this? Actually, I didn't know that this was coming up.
They just talked about it on 32 Thoughts.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Like the Saturday one that they do on Hockey Night in Canada. So I haven't actually.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any articles on it, but they just talked about it. So it was just off the top of my head. But
okay, yeah, that's news to me actually. I missed that. So yeah, there was there's a great part of one of the more recent I think it was because what the Minnesota game that this goal got called back was Wednesday. So okay, it would have been Thursday's episode, the Steve Dangle podcast. Actually, they talk about this for quite a bit, which like how many just not this isn't like a shot at the Dangle podcast or anything like that, but just Eastern Coast in general. How much Eastern Coast like really talk about the Ducks, even just like
pretty much
the Ducks being a part of something like that relates to the whole NHL? It's not a whole lot, right?
Yeah.
So it worked very nicely that Zegras' Michigan goal kind of resulted in this pretty like long talk about offsides and the challenges and that kind of thing. Like basically Matt Duchene being 10 feet offside like a few years ago kind of really put us as a sport for the NHL at least in a really awkward position, because like fans want the calls right, but at the same time we don't want all of these different challenges and whatnot. So it's kind of okay, are we just going to allow some human error? Are we going to there's the idea of like the eye in the sky, like another referee that's watching the game, and is he gonna be the voice of God, call down something if there's something that the on ice officials missed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is where it's like you said, like we're measuring pixels to see if a guy is offside. The thing that they brought up though that didn't even click for me actually, the goal was scored 29 seconds in to the Ducks entering the zone.
Yeah, so like no effect on the play.
Is it offside? Yes, and I'm not arguing that. But yeah, does it have I forget who said it on that show, but I laughed because of how true it was. If you're going to allow the Anaheim Ducks 29 seconds in your zone, that's on you. Yeah. That's on you. So
yeah, right.
I forget who's it was. I think it was Adam on that show. And I had to pause it because I was laughing. I'm like, yeah, dude's fucking got it there.
Yeah.
But like realistically, like 29 seconds later, like that, it's the challenges have gone a little too far. But I think they say it best on that show. Like honestly, go listen to that part of the episode. I was gonna send it to you even. I think I saw the timestamp in my phone. Go listen to that part of the episode because they do break it down really great, down to the point of Gary Bettman is just going to say to everybody, well, I told you so, right? Like this, I'm giving you what you want. Like, why aren't you happy with it? So like to fans. Yeah. So it will be interesting to see though, if anything actually comes out of a GM meeting.
Yeah. This, so I guess just to elaborate more on this is like kind of the preliminary like meeting before the big one that happens, I think in March, where they actually sit down and make decisions about what they're going to change going into next season. So this one is just like this is what we want to talk about, and then we'll have a few months to kind of sit on it and generate more ideas, think about what things were already brought up before that one. So like we might not hear anything about it. We might not really like nothing's obviously going to change because we're in the middle of the season, but this is it's just a good step, I think, and it'll be something to talk about more in the off season. So
yeah, sounds good.
So yeah, okay, we've got oh yes, I mean we talked about this right off the hop, but I didn't actually officially give it the stamp here. We've got a big dad energy move this episode with Adam Henrique scoring his first goal as a dad, being promoted from Uncle Rico to Daddy Rico, or Daddy Henrique, Daddy Adam maybe. I don't know what rolls off the tongue better, but yeah, scoring a goal, first game back after your daughter being born, and also making it your 100th goal as a Duck. That's a pretty sweet move, and one might say a big energy move.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So just wanted to officially put that into the Hall of Fame there. The officially unofficial Hall of Fame. Okay. And then we just have an upcoming game to talk about. We've got Tuesday against the Detroit Red Wings, 7 p.m. Pacific time. I think that wraps up the homestand for the Ducks, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that will be game 4 there. And yeah, that's where's Detroit in the standings?
Detroit is currently sitting first in the wild card spot in the East. They have a 7-5-3 record, 17 points, 0.567 point percentage right now, -6 goal differential, and their last 10 has been 4-5-1.
Okay.
On the road, they're 2-3-1. So
just some hope there. They lost to LA on the first game of this road trip, 4-3 on Saturday. So this game against the Ducks on Tuesday will be their first game in a few days there, and then they will be in San Jose on Thursday as well. So nice breaks on either side of those games for them. Not a back-to-back situation. And looking at their roster, I don't think they have any notable injuries. Well, okay, they have quite a few injuries, but
yeah,
like Verana, Bertuzzi, Zadina, to name a few.
But
I mean, like their roster,
yeah, they're hurting a little bit as well. But yeah, their roster still
looks good.
Stevie Y, everybody.
Yeah, he knows how to put together a roster. Like, yeah, like their top 6 looks fine. Bottom 6 is serviceable. Defensive pairings like Seider and Sherrod is your top pairing. That's fine. All the way down to Osterley and Lindstrom on your third pairing. Their goaltending and Nedeljkovic and Husso is phenomenal this season still. So like there is no issues with their lineup. They're a good team.
Yeah, Husso's quietly been doing phenomenal. I was very surprised I was able to pick him up in one of my fantasy leagues. I don't remember which one it was, but I was very surprised that he was available, considering for our league, he was ranked 5th in the league. Yeah. Like, not just for goalies, like that's for every player available. He was ranked 5th. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take him. And then sure enough, I don't know who Detroit's coach is right now, but he decides to leave him in for the 8-2 shellacking from the Rangers last Thursday. So that really hit my goals against average. So
and then we have actually played a game against Detroit already. If you remember, that was the 5-1 loss to them. Oh yeah. I guess I'm not sharing the score predictions here, but we that was closer to the start of the season, obviously.
Yeah.
What was it? Game. Here we go. Yeah, game 5, 6, game 6 of the season, 5-1 there.
Yeah. Well, we still had some optimism.
yeah, right. So yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see what happens with this one. I guess these were the results from our last couple predictions here. Not good. I did update actually, sorry, really quickly, our just to include the ones where we got the score and the team. So So far,
I got the score right?
You got the score right on one of them. I don't remember which one it was, but you got the team wrong, so that's why.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Count.
Okay.
But so far, you've got 11 out of the 15 teams right, as opposed to
There
my
you go.
7. So, but that was me trying to predict Anaheim too many times.
You did it to yourself.
I did, yeah. So, what do you think about this game here, Nate? What do you think is going to happen?
I think Detroit's going to take it. They have taken a massive step forward, as we kind of talked about. Their lineup still, like, as depleted as it is, doesn't look horrible. If we can keep the forward lines that we were talking about earlier together, we have a chance offensively, I think. But their defense is still a lot better. Their goaltending as of late as a whole has been better, I would say. I'm still leaning towards Detroit. I'm going to make it a little bit closer than what the first game against them was. I'm going to say 4-2 Detroit.
4-2.
And I realize that's like 3 4-2s in a row, but I'm just like,
you're bound to get it eventually.
Actually, you know what?
I mean, you've only been off by a goal, right? Like 4-2 to 4-1, 4-2 to 3-2.
I'm going to go 3-1, actually.
Okay. 3-1.
Just to change it up a little bit, but I can, on either side, I can see, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I am going to take your 4-2 then for Detroit because, yeah, I think it'll still be a little closer because I think we've taken some big steps. If we do play the way that we did against Chicago offensively, we will still generate a lot of chances. And, you know, the old saying, best defense is a good offense. That will limit chances against if we are pressing a lot. But Detroit is a better team on paper than Chicago, so they will still generate their opportunities and capitalize off of them as well. So yeah, that's what I think there. Okay. What else we got? I think that's it.
I think that's everything, yeah. That's our show.
Cool. Well, thank you guys very much for listening. We talked off the beginning about if you want to get in touch with us at Quack Report Pod, if you have ideas for merch or just want to chat about what you like about the show and have a chat with us, have questions about hockey, jerseys, whatever. At Quack Report Pod on Twitter and Instagram is where you can message us there. And I know not everyone uses those platforms as well. So So for right now, up until kind of the end of the month, I'll probably close it down. We have a Google form open with the link down in the description. You can give feedback there, or even if you just want to say, hey, you can do that at the link down in the description for that. And we live stream our episodes as well, if you're new to the show, on YouTube and Twitch every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time at Quack Report Pod on both of those platforms as well. If you want to get in touch, or if people want to get in touch with you, Nate, about merch ideas as well, specifically since you do that. You plugged it at the beginning, but where can people do that?
You can tweet at me. My DMs are open as well on Twitter at Tatenamas, TATENHOMAS. If you're not a Twitter user, I think you can still DM me on Instagram as well, same handle. So. But cool. Twitter, if you want to just follow me in general, though, Twitter is what I use a lot more of, for sure.
Yeah. And then I am on Twitter at Carter_Potts, POTTS_97. If you just want to have a chat about anything that's going on hockey-wise or unrelated to hockey, that's cool too. At HockeyPodNet is where you can follow the network to get more content for hockey, obviously. Thank you guys very much for listening, and we will see you on Wednesday for a live stream.